was going to be a fit with Austin, and you don't know where there's going to be chemistry. So at the end of the day, what we look at now is how do we use the space that we have, and certainly, offense is an area that's, we've got a guy who's gotten 100 points that's left our team. We think we've replaced a little bit of ability here with Michelli, but we've got to do more. And all the different things that Mitch did, whether it be on the power play, whether it be 5-on-5 and the penalty killing, those are just areas we need to replace. So whether that's certain players in our team taking on more, taking on some different roles, and certainly looking to add to our roster to help fill that in. So probably a long way of answering. I don't know exactly yet what our power play, how that's going to break down. We have certainly some ideas and some options and lots of discussion on it, and we'll see how the days unfold here moving forward as we get closer to camp.
So with Mitch Marner gone, where are you on your DNA? You still looking for a few more molecules?
Yeah, it's surprising how a guy makes a comment. It's different apparently. Yeah, and I get it. Again, the whole idea of that comment, we sometimes forget how the context or how the context of the question that was raised, and a lot of it was, when I look back in the 2 years that I've been here, and listen, you get to the end of the season, everybody's emotional, right? You lose in Game 7 in the second round, and it feels like you haven't made the playoffs in 10 years, right? So you have to take a step back. My observation is there's a lot of good things that happened with our team last year. Now, in that particular series, at very critical moments, and as I mentioned, we were in some critical moments. Game 6 was a critical moment. We Game 6 in Ottawa was a critical moment. But I found in the 2 years that I've been here, yeah, we were short some bodies in Game 7 in Boston. We lose 2-1 in overtime, or we lose an overtime game in Game 7. We didn't have good games in Game 5 and Game 7 here. I look at it as it doesn't get talked about, I don't think, but Game 3 was a great opportunity too. We're in overtime to go up 3-0 in that lead, but certainly the way it ends in Game 7, in a critical area, a critical moment, we need to be better. So that's where our DNA, and it's not just airlifting in 20 new players and shooting everybody that's here. That's just, I get the emotional reaction from people. It's how can we be better? How do we improve? How do we improve mentally? How do we improve in those moments that are critical? And certainly, personnel is one, preparation's another, mental toughness is another. So there's a lot that goes into it. And, I know the easy reaction is any player that's signed, it gets stuck to DNA. But just to give a little context of behind the headline of what I was talking about with that answer.
That's great stuff. So we'll help you turn the page to the guys who are here. Like Michelli, excited to see what he can do. Tell us a little bit about your expectations for Nick Waugh, why he was someone you targeted. And then if you could just throw in a comment on Pizzetta, who I absolutely love watching play hockey, that would make me happy as well.
Yeah, well, with Nick, I think Nick is, he may not be the big sexy name, but to me, Nick's a player that helps you win. And if you're trying to be a winning team, you need, we've heard Lou talk about it in years past. It's like building an orchestra. You need everybody in the right chair. And Nick was in a situation in Vegas where, he's playing behind Eichel, Carlson, Hurdle. I mean, those are three pretty good centermen.
Yeah.
But he's a big right shot centerman, can kill penalties, can play in a matchup role, can play against other teams' best, and he's got a sneaky skill set. He's got good hands around the net. He gets to the net. As I said, he can kill penalties. He gives us something in the middle of the ice that we didn't have. He's a right shot. It's a right shot penalty killing option. So right shot face off, strong side face offs. It gives us another option there. And really, just to give you a little insight in your team building standpoint, is we all get infatuated with 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of lines and first line centers and second line centers, and probably 20 plus teams in the league are looking for the prototypical second line center. But a lot of what the game is in matchups. And I've used the analogy with Winnipeg, and again, no team is perfect, but that's a pretty darn good team that won the President's Trophy. And again, when you look down the middle of their ice, the middle of the ice for them, you've got Scheifele as your number one. On paper, you've got Nemestikov as 2 and Lowry as 3. But again, it all comes down to deployment. And if you have somebody, when I look at our roster here right now, with Nick Roy that can take a lot of defensive heavy lifting, defensive zone starts, defensive face-offs, and matchups, when you put those into a pot, it allows you to not get necessarily lost on your 1, 2, and 3, but spread out matchups and situational play that could free up different people, whether you're talking about Austin, John, and Scotty Lawton. So when I look down the middle of our ice right now, I think it gives us a lot of different options. And like I said, he was important. He was an important player. He was an important player for us to get. It's a player that we've had a lot of interest for a long time. So we're excited to get him. With Michelli, again, when we look at our roster and subtracting Mitch from there, of trying to look at the aggregate of how do we replace some of the assets that Mitch had, and one of them obviously was playmaking ability. And again, this is maybe a name that's recognizable to a lot of people. He's coming off a down year, had some injuries, and fell out of favor and lost some confidence. But he's, when you really dig into him, he's a guy who makes a lot of plays. Can retrieve pucks off the wall, goes into traffic, has got really good vision, moves around the ice really well, but has the ability to elevate others in terms of, making plays. And the thought process behind it is we have people that can finish. A lot of play driving and offensive distribution is an area, as I said, with Mitch being gone, that we were looking for. So we felt that this was the opportunity cost was manageable, and we've got some ideas where he'll fit, but bringing in that skill set we felt was something that potentially has some upside for us. And then with Pizzetta, he brings forechecking ability. He skates real well. He's a very willing competitor, which I think you can never have too much of. And he plays hard. He's a great teammate. We'll see how it all sorts itself out here, but he's a guy that is never going to cheat you with effort. And it gets back to the comment I made earlier that you need all kinds when you're building a team to fit in different